Hello, everyone. Today we have with us Joseph Babi, founder at Joseph Paul Digital Agency and also founder at Hashly, a cannabis SEO agency. Joseph, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, going well. Really excited to have you. I have been, wanting to do an interview with an SEO that works in the cannabis industry. Cannabis SEO, is taking off. A lot of new trends happening, a lot of stuff happening there. But before, we dive deep into it, it would be great if you could introduce yourself to our viewers and also, tell us more about your story and, what brought you to this specific career path and now cannabis.
Yeah, so my path to SEO is very uncommon. I actually got my degree in accounting and got an accounting job, and read a book that Tim Ferriss recommended about developing iPhone apps. So I actually quit my job that day without an app and developed an iPhone app and went into credit card debt developing it. And then I was too broke to market it. And so the cheapest way to market it was to do SEO myself. And that's when I realized I really enjoy doing SEO. And so from there, I actually I started Joseph Paul Digital Agency doing SEO for other companies. And then long story short, ended up getting a cannabis company, and some of the results we got were so tremendous, and we didn't even realize it because we're so used to having, big numbers. Is some of the bigger companies came to us and said, "Hey, whatever you guys are doing, you're doing it correctly because your client is one of the biggest ones, one of the biggest clients we have." So what we ended up doing was starting Hashly and focusing in and doubling down on the cannabis industry. And it's a lot more fun than your typical, mortgage broker or insurance agency client, because you get to talk about a lot more fun topics.
Absolutely. And I understand, cannabis is like competitive as well, when it comes to SEO, right? I mean, what are the main trends that you're seeing, when it comes to cannabis SEO?
So the main trends I'm seeing when it comes to cannabis SEO, right now, it's very young. And so I don't think anyone's really cracked the e-commerce code in terms of ordering online. And so a lot of these dispensaries have menus that are embedded, which all us SEOs know that they can't be crawled by Google, right? And so you need to be able to figure out what factors need to go into those store pages to send indicators of location and what they're selling.
Right, right. Also, like the new robots, tag update that came, index if embedded. Like, do you see any use of? I know for publishers, it is useful. Like people like publishing a lot of media and videos and stuff. But do you see its use like in cannabis as well when it comes to like embedded menus and stuff?
No, because the thing is I don't know that it will be like, unless you're a brand that's vertically integrated and you have your own product. I see it being useful, but for your typical dispensary that's selling a bunch of different brands, the brand descriptions and the product names are identical, right?
Right.
And so even if Google does crawl it, it just looks like a bunch of duplicate content.
Right, right. So how do you like take care of like these websites or dispensaries that are selling like a lot of brands? Like how do you take care of these product pages, category pages? How do you do that?
Yeah. So since we don't have your typical like access like WooCommerce would, what we do is there's a lot of small, like big mistakes that are obvious to SEOs that aren't to dispensaries. And so first thing we do is make sure that URL structure has the city name and location in the actual URL. The next thing we actually do to make sure that like when someone's searching dispensary near me is we have a Google Map embed of the store's location, and then all your NAP information should be on the page. And on top of that, if they are doing delivery, because delivery is so restrictive, we're actually placing the zip codes on the store page itself of where they deliver to. So when someone searches, cannabis delivery and their city, Google understands their zip code based on their location, and it reads cannabis delivery and then a zip code under that heading tag. So they kind of realize that, oh, well, these people deliver here, so let me serve them, right?
Right. So, like in such cases, I'm sure like, like leveraging schema markups would like give a lot of value because these are like local dispensaries and stuff.
Yeah. So the schema markups is it's highly important, right? And so because some of our clients have, upwards of 15 locations, what we started to use Schema Pro, the plugin for WordPress.
Okay. Yeah.
And that way we're able to specify, what schema goes to what page. So that way we're not applying it globally, right? And it ensures that, we don't screw things up. We can put processes around that.
Right. Also, when it comes to link building for cannabis, I know like it's a very, like a typical link building strategy and expertise that is required. So how do you approach link building to like, to your cannabis clients?
So for now, we've been extremely lucky in the terms of hiring high quality writers, right? So these are writers for High Times, WikiLeaf, and some of the other bigger cannabis publishers. And so we create content that is so compelling that we actually naturally get organic backlinks, right, without actually doing any outreach. So we haven't had to pursue it too much. We actually worry more about NAP citations, and then also getting them on all the different various cannabis menu websites, right? Like Weed Maps, Dutchy, iHeartJane, so on and so forth, right? So we've been really lucky about getting backlinks in terms of having to reach out.
Right. Also, do you see like use of pillar pages and pillar content like of use in cannabis as well?
Yeah. Yes and no. It's just not as obvious as it would be for like a mortgage broker, right? Okay. Where, a pillar could be refinancing, and then all the nuances that go into refinancing, right? With cannabis, it's a bit more high level, and it takes a little bit of selling on our part to the client, where we talk about, like a pillar would be lifestyle, right? And then you got to relate, lifestyle to cannabis. And then, and then you have part of that lifestyle too, is you got to figure out how to make it local, especially if they're in multi-states, right? Yeah. So if I have a dispensary that's located in Michigan, I'm going to write about, the best places to go that are, cannabis friendly, that are indoors in the winter, right? Right. Whereas Arizona, it's like the best hiking routes because it's nice there all year round, right? And it's just the two different lifestyles and understanding that.
Right. But yeah, I mean, if you're able to crack it, it's such a beautiful way to like, get high quality links.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we like to do, is we like to create content that people are naturally going to link to, right? So we don't write about like why you should buy from us type content, right? Or why you should smoke cannabis. Like people that smoke cannabis and are searching for it, they already know why they're smoking cannabis. And the people that are going to write content related to that, they already have their own opinion, right? I would say that would be, creating lifestyle stuff would be one of the best pieces of content that you can create from a blog standpoint. And then like another pillar would be, that's like uncommon, is actually your locations page. And then having that location page internally linked to each of the dispensaries if there's more than one location.
Right. Also, like recently I was talking to an SEO. Again, they have clients with like, a lot of locations. And we were talking about like, leveraging videos and embedding videos and, like mainly YouTube videos and, like when getting them ranked, a very interesting tactic that they use is that apart from the normal, schemas and markups and all of that on location pages, what they also do is for every location, they create like a video of like of that location's manager. So it gives unique video for every location, but also helps rank that location so quickly on Google that which I found a very good like tactic for location pages.
Yeah. So what we do too is for a location page, we will actually get images of the location and then embed the geolocation into the image and then post it onto the website. So when that Google crawls it, it appears that the image was taken there, right? Even though in reality it really was, but we make sure that the image is actually saying that, hi, I was taken here, and you double check that.
Right, understand. Joe, how do you spy on your competitors' SEO? Like what things to look at while doing a competition analysis?
Yeah, so I from a competition analysis perspective, we don't do anything too crazy. We see, we look at Ahrefs data. So we are, we're team Ahrefs, not team SEMrush. But in terms of like some of the things that we do uniquely is there's a extension called GMB Crush.
Yeah.
And so what we're able to do is pull out the categories and all this stuff from their Google My Business. And so what we found is like in certain areas, the category of cannabis store is the best one, right? And then in other areas, holistic health is the best category for it because you can see that the top 5 in the map pack they're all holistic health stores, right? And so it's just seeing what signals Google is sending and then just outdoing what the competition's doing, right? So if they're posting once a month, we're doing once a week and things like that, right? And so with every location is different.
Right. Also, when you're doing keyword research, how do you calculate, the ROI or value for different, like, search queries, like an exact match keyword versus a long tail?
Yeah. So when we're doing keyword research, when we do the keyword research, obviously the first thing that we know we're going for is dispensary near me. And so the bulk of our efforts will go there because we know that is somebody that is ready to buy. And we know that like the average, ticket item is like $100 to $150 at a dispensary, right?
Yeah.
And so we know that, as many people as we can get in through a dispensary near me is how much they're making, right? Times $150 to $100. In terms of like the blog content, what we do is we place a higher value on like, let's say a recipe for, recipe for canna butter, right? Where someone's actually looking up a recipe to see how they make canna butter. And it's like, well, they need cannabis to make it. And so if they got the information from me, they're likely to come to me to get the cannabis, right? And so it's really hard to put a value to it just because with the nature of the stores, or not the stores, but like the e-com stores being embedded, we only get what information that Dutchie or iHeartJane or Weedmaps provides to us, right? And so not all of our clients are on top of it and want us looking at that data.
Right.
So it's really hard to understand understand the ROI on a per keyword basis. If you were to ask us, what the ROI is on the SEO effort overall, then, we can give that pretty easily because we know exactly how much traffic's going to the store and, and how much time they're spending on that page. So whether they're shopping or not.
Right. Also, like, how much importance do you give to internal links? And like, do you follow like a thumb rule, like, these should be the maximum internal links on a page or anything like that?
We don't have, I mean, we don't have a hard rule.
Mm-hmm.
We do have like a rule of thumb in terms of like, hey, we should have an internal link, within the first paragraph of the blog post, right? But in terms of a hard rule, though, if it can't happen naturally, we don't do it. So
Mm-hmm.
we try to be as white hat as possible. I don't think there's an SEO in the world that's 100% white hat, but we try to be as white hat as possible. And then for internal linking, outside of Link Whisperer,
Mm-hmm.
which is a fantastic plugin,
Yeah.
we actually created a proprietary tool that's built in Google Sheets that takes Screaming Frog data,
Okay.
and then it actually extracts all the text, and then we tell it to look for certain key terms,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then it'll point it out to us, and then we go back to the website and actually manually. So we found more success with that than Link Whisperer, but like Link Whisperer is really nice to just I like what I like to call rotisserie chicken method. Set it and forget it.
I understand.
Yeah.
Joe, like, what are your tips on optimizing mobile websites?
So our tips on optimizing mobile websites, in terms of like the cannabis industry,
Mm-hmm.
they're very art focused, right? And so if you look at wearehashley.com, our website,
Yeah.
and compare it to Joseph Paul Digital Agency,
Yeah.
Joseph Paul Digital Agency is very square, very professional, whereas We Are Hashley is super funky. And so what we notice with these cannabis websites is they're using huge pictures and
And it's a
huge
very beautiful
graphics.
name as well.
Thank you. So we're starting to notice that like most of these dispensaries are using huge photos, and they look great, but you got to start coaching them on on speed, right? So there's that, and then a lot of these dispensary websites, because they don't know better, it's a very young market right now, and so they're either great at selling weed or they're either great at growing weed, but they're not necessarily internet marketers.
Right.
So you have to teach them that, like, hey, the last developer has, their CSS file is massive, or they use, WP Bakery, and they loaded every plugin possible onto the website, right? And so it's a lot of the low hanging fruit that we used to see in the industry probably like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But today, right?
Yeah. Also, like we talked about link building briefly, but when it comes to press releases, I mean, how much of value press releases are particularly in cannabis?
I absolutely love them, especially for a brand new dispensary, right, or a brand new cultivator, right? So a lot of these press releases say, hey, we do not allow the sale of cannabis stuff on there, and we're not going to publish that. But when you can take the angle of a community and saying that a new dispensary has opened up in this community, it's employed this many people in the city, and it's projected to add this many tax dollars to the city. It makes for a great press release. It helps Google index the page quicker. And on top of that, it's actually information that local journalists want to see. And so you're naturally going to get those backlinks. So I think for any new website, or if you're opening up a new location into a new city, it makes perfect sense to do a PR campaign in terms of, like, even if it's just a newswire, right? A lot of these newswires, you'd be surprised, go to local publications,
Yeah, they do.
which are still good, whether they're follow or no follow, are still very good backlinks.
Right. Well, I mean, like you gave such such an amazing pitch for press releases in cannabis, like taking the community angle. So thank you for that. I mean, I'm sure, like our viewers that are in the space, would benefit from that.
Oh yeah, I think anyone would benefit. I think people overlook how well press releases can do if they're not about, if either A, they're interesting, or B, if you can make it about the community that you're in,
Hmm.
it's amazing for local.
Right, right. Joseph, what is the biggest challenge you ever come across during your SEO career? I know there will be many, but what is like, the biggest or the one that, like stands out or comes to your mind?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that stands out in my career outside of, trying to do SEO for a iOS app,
Mhm.
which is a completely
But you,
different.
you, you did not tell me like what was this app?
Oh, so the app was an alarm clock where you had to play a game to turn it off, and there was
Oh,
no
okay.
snooze button, right? And so it actually, the SEO worked because I was the number 12 utility app in the United States. I was number 7 in Japan and number 2 in the Ukraine. And so, and I didn't even translate the app into those languages. They just loved it, right? And so that all came from SEO. I ended up getting it onto NerdWallet
Mhm.
through outreach, and then getting it onto the local news, and then also getting it reviewed by I forgot his name. He wrote the book. His little brother. He wrote the book. I'll teach you how to be rich.
Okay. I don't, I,
Oh, something Sethi.
uh,
He's
got
super popular. But anyways, his little brother actually reviewed it, and it went wildly. It went it went on fire, right? I think the next hardest one I ever did was it was a company called Winpact that was founded by a former Pro Bowl NFL player, and it was like an engineering company, and it was like the content was super complex. We actually, it was padding that went into helmets,
yeah.
and we actually had to hire a neuroscientist to write the content for it, and just finding ways to get backlinks for a website like that was extremely hard because it's extremely niche, and then figuring out keywords for that actually had volume
Hmm.
and had monetary value behind it.
Right, right. Uh, Joe, what are your thoughts on optimizing for voice search?
For Wise Search, like the Wise
Voice,
Maps.
voice search.
Wise Search.
VOIC.
VOI. Oh, voice search. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry for the
Yeah.
accent.
No worries. So voice for voice, uh, we think that, if you get your schemas right and your page structure is correct and you're clearly presenting information, voice search is going to take care of itself. In terms of when it comes to voice search, also, we have the advantage of, we're not one of those people that think you wrote 100 words, so we're going to write 1,000 words.
Hmm.
We find that we win on voice because we're more concise, right?
Right.
Especially with local and like frequently asked questions, we try to
Hmm.
be as concise as possible.
Right. Do you see like its use or value like in cannabis as well? I'm sure because the dispensaries are local. So
Yeah, so it is very valuable, right? And so um, if I were to use Siri right now and say, "Hey, find me a dispensary," it's my client. 2 out of my 3 clients pop up, right?
right.
And that's what people are doing. I think that it's going to be more and more prominent as more people adopt the, hey Google, hey Alexa
Yeah. Yeah.
type.
Any particular tactic or strategy, that is working for voice, that you think is helping like, like your clients or, your dispensaries to pop up on voice as well.
Yeah, so I really think that our ability to take over their Google My Business has helped us tremendously, right? And their Yelp. So we dedicate a person per client to actually hand reply to every review
Okay.
and to upload pictures, which of course are geotagged. And so the reason why we focus on Yelp and Google and Google My Business or Google Business Profile, whatever they want to call it now, is because obviously Google's Google, but Yelp is being or Apple is using Yelp for their information, right? And so there's rumors that Apple's going to come out with their own review system, but until then we're going to be focusing on Yelp, so that way Siri loves us just as much as the Google Assistant does.
I understand. Any special tip that you would like to give our audience that they could use and benefit from?
In terms of my special tip actually is pretty unorthodox in terms of SEO, because like everyone wants to give you that secret bullet. I think if you're serious about being in an agency and stop being a freelancer, is to document. I mean, if you're going to run through something and figure out how to do it, you might as well write down on a Google Doc exactly what steps you did. It's going to be annoying up front, but when you're ready to get to that point where you're only making sales, or where you're only worried about sales and you're no longer in SEO, you're going to be so happy that you got it, because it's going to free up so much of your time. And it actually creates repeatable processes, right? So that you're more confident that when you tell someone that you can help them, you have a playbook to follow, and you can adjust. And when certain steps don't work.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I understand. Well, Joe, thank you for your time. But before I let you go, I like playing a quick rapid fire round of 3 to 5 questions in the end. So I'll just start the rapid fire. Whatever comes to your mind, don't waste time and just quickly answer.
Okay, let's do it. I'm ready, I think.
Perfect. Describe yourself in 3 words.
I would say crazy, fun, optimistic.
If a movie was made on you, what genre would it be?
I think it would be an action comedy.
Who is your favorite superhero?
Oof, it's tough between Batman and Iron Man.
Oh, my favorites as well. But I think for me, Iron Man would have like an upper hand.
Yeah, exactly. He resembles more of the lifestyle that, at least in Iron Man 1.
Yep.
The lifestyle that I like.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
I honestly, I'm just generally, if I'm awake, let's go get it type of person. I describe myself like a golden retriever. Just as long as I'm up, I'm optimistic. Let's get going.
Right. What was your last Google search? Do you remember?
My last Google search.
If
you know what? I think I was looking for scented candles for my office, because I'm a scented candle connoisseur.
Okay. Well, Joe, thank you so much. It was fun having you, and I wish you all the best.
All right. Thanks. Great.